gonna die. Go too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a replay that was submitted by Pink Mitsubishi. If you recall, we have seen, I think, one other replay by Pink here on the channel, a member of NGA, and a little blurb here. Of course, if you are interested in joining NGA, you're more than welcome to do so. Just get in contact with myself, or visit our website, NGA or NavyGamingAmerica.com. Anyway, slash IGN, I think. Anyway, the battle. You can see we're on Bastion. We don't actually get to see Bastion very often. At least I never really see Bastion very often at all. Might come up every now and then, which was a little disappointing because I was actually really excited about this game mode, and then it just never really happened as often as I wanted it to, so it kind of, I don't know, went to the back burner, but it's still always great to see. Anyway, I did end up clicking, so I'm, controlling the camera, looking around, because if we do recall, I think last time we took a look at the kebab, yes, is what the last replay Pink sent in to us. So when we saw that replay, it was fairly crazy with the whole zooming in, zooming out thing. So we'll just take control of the camera. Every now and then I flick back to Pink's view so we can kind of see what he's looking at the time. And I think I twitched once during the recording here and also said it. So you'll have to deal with that, but whatever. What I really liked about the opening movements that are happening here with the cruiser is the fact that Pink is, taking his time. He's not at full throttle. He's not just charging in there, and this is something you just cannot do in a cruiser. It just doesn't work, and especially at this tier with this specific ship, the Des Moines. Des Moines, she does have limited range when you compare her, say, to the Moskva or the Hindenburg. Even the Zhao has really great range. So you do want to take your time and let the enemy get spotted to figure out where you're going to go and support your allies, because that's where the Des Moines really does come into an effective fighting machine or an effective ship, is when she's supporting and has support from allies. She doesn't perform very well on her own. You do want to keep her at range as best you can, but the fact that your range is so limited, plays into that. Now, interestingly enough here as well, we'll notice that Pink is not running defensive AA fire, and this is actually something that I saw and I was a little surprised. But then you think about it, I can't remember the last time I was in a game with some tier 10 aircraft carriers. Maybe tier 9 every now and then, but no one is playing tier 10 aircraft carriers, at least that I've seen. So yeah, why bother running it? The stock AA on this thing is good enough, right? It should be fine, and instead we can pick up, I think it's radar that you end up picking up, or hydroacoustic, I don't know, one or the other. But anyway, we're going to run both of those instead, so that's awesome. We can see the enemy did take the B cap zone. Not really that big of a deal, still very early in the battle, still lots of things to take place here. So if the enemies do want to push forward and grab these really quick, but then not follow up that extreme push of theirs with support of their own, and basically just have the ships solo trying to defend the cap, that's fine. Pink and his team are more than happy to take these people out. We did also catch a quick glimpse there, a little drive-by of the Minotaur. That was pretty awesome, and we got to see how quickly the Minotaur fires as well. It's described as a minigun, and it does look pretty amazing. We can see some enemies here off in the distance, right? We can see most of our team is concentrated down here in the south. We do have a few members of our team up there in the north contesting the A zone, or the 3 zone, I guess. But we're down here in the south, and we're going to try and take the number 1 zone. I guess this would normally be A. So we're going to try and take A. Do have a number of allies here. We do have as well some enemies that are fairly close in, right? We do have this player over here, but we're going to launch our high explosives at him, try and set the ship on fire. And that's, again, where the Des Moines does excel. When you're fighting heavier ships or ships that are angled, bow on, stern on, right? You can always just launch your HE and expect to set fires on a regular basis and really rack up some damage very, very quickly. The enemy ship that we're firing at, I believe, is an enemy cruiser, an Ibuki potentially. And it also does open up the option, if the Ibuki is presenting the broadside, to actually fire off your armor piercing, right? Because the armor piercing on the Des Moines is also very good. You can expect to do some pretty nice damage, get some citadels racked up, and more importantly, really take out enemy cruisers. Because the closer in the enemy gets to your Des Moines, well, I wouldn't say the closer in, but there's definitely a sweet spot there with the Des Moines in terms of range. That when the enemy's in that sweet spot, the Des Moines is going to just destroy you if you are not taking appropriate action. I mean, if you do get in real close, then the Des Moines kind of does struggle, because she doesn't have any torpedoes, and all of the other cruisers at tier 10 in the game do have torpedoes, so there is that issue there as well. Anyway, still, Pink at this point in time, not really too interested in pushing forward all willy-nilly, right? We're gonna try and just sort of scout out around the cap, use the cover that we have here, choose our targets and see what is taking place before we actually commit. And this is really important as well. You can see even now we're slowing down, right? We're not committing to the whole turn and the whole push in. We're going to use the cover that we have here and see what the enemy's doing. And if we do note, the enemy does seem to be moving in behind some islands here as well. So we may actually be able to sneak in here and start, helping out with the cap of the point. Up there at point 2, where B would normally be, you can see that we do have an ally in that cap zone and is actually capping it, and we just took it. So that is fantastic, right? The enemy ship, or maybe the 2 enemy ships that were initially there to cap the point, not enough to actually defend it. And you can really see, right, what happens when ships just charge forward like this, and the rest of your allies aren't also willing to charge forward and help support. Now, that's not to say that you should always charge forward, but there's a time and place. Anyway, did some nice damage there on the Mogami with a nice citadel hit, and we can see that our friendly destroyer here laid a nice path of smoke that we are just going to sail right into, immediately no longer be seen, right? And we're just going to continue to fire away at the Mogami while the Mogami gives us some good shots with our armor piercing. We also note the turrets in the distance as well, so we're going to start firing off at the turrets here as well while we can, because I mean the turrets, right? We're taking a look at what Pink's seeing there. The turrets is much more available to us at this point in time. Plus, the fire rate on the turret, or on the Des Moines here, is such that we could set a few fires to the turrets potentially, and then switch on back over to the Mogami. Just depending what we wanted to do. And we can see that some of our allies too are working over the Mogami here as well. So we have a fire set to the turrets, or a few fires set to the turrets, and turrets is burning pretty good. I was watching while I was recording this. I was watching the damage counter go up, and for a few, maybe a few seconds, maybe 20-30 seconds, it looked as though Pink was racking up about 1,000 points of damage like every second. It was crazy, because just of the number of fires that were burning consecutively there on the turrets. I bet that turrets captain is just thrilled at this point in time, right? All up against the edge of the map there, nowhere really to go. He has a Des Moines in smoke that he has no hope of spotting whatsoever, just raining in the HE. I'm not going to say that I haven't been in this situation where maybe it's not a Des Moines, but a cruiser in smoke and I can't see it. I have no hope of seeing it, and it's just throwing the HE at me, and you're on fire. You have no repair. There's nothing you can do about it but just try and get out of there as quick as you can. And that's exactly what we see the turrets captain doing here, attempting it anyway. So far, I mean, overall in the points, right, we still are fairly close. I mean, we just got over 400 400 points. The enemy is a little bit over 400 points, so it's still a close game here. The smoke is now gone, so we're not going to be able to use this anymore. Unfortunate, but the enemy Tirpitz is on very, very low health indeed. You can see not only did he take a bunch of fire damage from us, but some of our ally battleships, maybe the battleships, I'm not sure who. Well, it's probably the Minotaur, actually, with that amount of firepower going in. Whatever. Someone landed some decent shots there and did a bunch of damage to this player. So, yeah, if we can just keep the Tirpitz on fire, we might even be able to get the kill. We see shots coming in from the enemy Megami, so we can't forget about the enemy Megami, but you do want to finish off a battleship when they're in this situation, right? Because that battleship probably still has some repair left, and if you don't finish off the player, you know, it could just repair and come back to haunt you. So there we go. Tirpitz is gone. We got the kill and the arsonist, so that is fantastic. We have the enemy Mogami still in front of us on very, very low health. We see shots coming in from our allies. We throw some shots downrange as well into the Mogami. Looks like those are gonna miss. But hopefully we will rack ourselves up another kill here as well. Taking a look at what enemies we do see, we'll note an enemy cruiser there off in the distance. We get the kill on the enemy Mogami, so that's fantastic. We still have B, but it is being contested, right? And we do want to note that at this point in time in the battle, especially considering B is no longer contested, so obviously the enemy's just sort of probing it, right? We don't really want to rush in there and for a close in defense. If you already have the point, and you're at sort of this stage of the battle, or even in the early stages of the battle, you can just back off, because now you have the point. You don't have to stop the enemy from pushing forward and just killing. Yeah, the objective of the defense, where I'm getting at, the objective of the defense is to, lure the enemy in like a trap, right? And get the enemy to commit, and then you burn them all down while you're standing off at a good distance to provide the defense. You don't have to you throw yourselves in there to get that defensive result, right? Because then you're the side that has pushed too far and has committed, then the enemy will pick you off, right? And we can see that Pink is just about to mention all of this here in chat to his ally team as well, to make sure that they're fully aware that at this point in time the battle, with the lead in points, because Pink's team does have 2 points now, it's pretty healthy. We don't need to take big chances here. We don't have to take any more big risks. The enemy doesn't have any more destroyers. We don't really have the concern of having those destroyers coming in and taking us out either, which is always great. Late game destroyers, they do have a whole lot of sway and weight at the end game here. Anyway, we do see a number of the enemy here lit up now in front of us, so this is fantastic. And we can see that it does look like the enemies are, going for the hard push into B. And again, to stress the point, you don't have to throw yourself against the enemy ships in order to provide a defense. You can stand off as long as you're at a decent range to provide that effective defense of the point. That's still effective, and you have the advantage of range and distance to be able to add more dispersion to enemy incoming shells and give you a better chance of avoiding them. So that's really what this is all about, right? And Pink mentioned it there. The trap basically is what you're trying to do and what you're trying to set here. So we do have a few incoming shots here from some of the enemy ships. We'll note the Yamato, right? The Yamato is a huge threat. But it's also a huge target. And the Yamato is fairly easy to set on fire. It's probably pretty difficult here in the old Des Moines because of the range of the Des Moines that's involved, right? And all that lovely stuff. But in some of the other cruisers, not so much, I guess. I mean, in the Donskoy, because I can stealth fire at Yamatos, which is always pretty great. But still, yeah, the Yamato is a huge target, easily enough, able to set on fire. We see some other enemy ships popping up here, so we're going to switch over to them. We do have some fires set to the Yamato, and it does look like those fires are sticking based on the fact that our damage counter continues to rise, right? Sitting on about 111,000 damage now. And the shots that we just launched off at the enemy player there in the distance has also set this player on fire. So this is fantastic. If we're spreading out our fires here amongst a number of different ships, and this is really a good situation. Unfortunately, we just took a huge hit there from one of those enemy battleships, and we're down to maybe a quarter health remaining. You'll note as well that the engine got knocked out, so Pink was quick to repair that there, and we are waiting on cooldown for our hull repair. So once that cools down, we'll repair, get ourselves out of the red here. But for now, we're going to try and angle ourselves as best we can against some of these enemy ships here. Get ourselves a nice Witherer medal as well, which is fantastic, because if you notice, we're still gaining in the old damage in terms of the fires that we set to some of these enemy ships. Which is always great as well. We can see shots coming in from some of our allies here, which is excellent, because these allies as well are really focusing down the enemy ships, right? And as long as the enemy isn't too focused on us, we should be able to pull out of this alive, or at least, stay alive for a little longer anyway. Once the ally or enemies decide, yeah, we're going to focus down this Des Moines, it's not going to be a good day for the Des Moines captain, not at all. Anyway, we managed to repair ourselves, sitting probably about half health here now, and we do switch over to see what Pink's shooting at here. We do see the enemy battleship here off in the distance, so we're, put some shots in, and again, right, the enemies still haven't capped the point, so we're still providing a good defense, right? We're just stalling them on this cap, because we do have a pretty good lead in points again at this point, right? So as long as we prevent the enemy from taking the second point, we are still ahead and we're still going to win overall. Hopefully, anyway, that's the plan, as long as our allies don't make too many mistakes. So we're getting ourselves into a position behind the cover here to continue to put shots into the enemy battleship, and hoping, right, to be able to get these shots over the mountain. And it's something that American cruisers do excel at. Just, their ability to get these shots over the mountain really does work out quite well, and the British are actually very, very good at it. I'm close to the tier 6 British cruiser. I can't wait to get into that thing to see how that works. But I'm actually starting to like the Emerald. I'm coming around to her. I'm not going to keep her, but I'm coming around to her. It's all right. We see shots going out on an enemy cruiser there off in the distance. Very, very low health that player is on, so hopefully our shots are going to be able to take the player down, or at least our allied shots will take the player down. There we go. Don't have to worry about that enemy ship anymore. And I think that is our third kill, so doing pretty decently. We see another enemy battleship, the Yamato, there off in the distance, so we do switch over to our high explosive, and again, we're just going to rain shells in on the Yamato here and try to set fire. Excellent use of cover, by the way, right? Maneuvering around, not always driving forward, right? It's coming to a stop, making use of the cover that we have, recognizing as well the vulnerability of the enemies at this point in time, right? They're way out there in the open, engaged with some of our allied battleships. They're going to be annoyed and by the shots that we have coming in on them, but they're not really going to be able to do anything about it for now. They're going to have to come at us if they want to, really silence our guns. Get ourselves a nice Confederate medal there as well. Not too surprising considering the amount of damage that we've done to the number of enemy players so far. And as well, we're sitting on about 163,000 damage at this point in time. Send out the armor piercing downrange into the enemy ship there. Hopefully those are going to land, do a bunch of damage, and we get ourselves a nice high caliber medal, which is also fantastic. More shells land there, and we get the fourth kill for the game, and that is excellent. Sitting on about 178,000 damage now. Now we have some incoming shots coming from an enemy Ibuki that is right in front of us, but we also do note the enemy Yamato is still kicking, right? So we have the enemy Ibuki, and we have the enemy Yamato. So it's, going to be hard. Well, it's hard enough to say, but it's going to be hard enough to try and figure out which target we should be firing at, which target should we be focused on. It's really going to depend on when we push beyond this island here on our port side, what the enemy Yamato is doing, right? Like right now, we're closing distance. We're not going to open up our guns just yet. And we're going to see what the enemy Yamato does. If the enemy Yamato is sitting there waiting for us, or our guns are pointed at us in the general direction, we're not going to be able to focus down that enemy Ibuki. The best thing to do will be go bow into the enemy Ibuki, and then potentially, once you get a little closer, deal with the enemy Ibuki. Hopefully the Yamato Yamato will take some more damage from some of our allies here off in the distance. Now, fortunately for us, when we do come around the island here, enemy Yamato, you know, has a whole bunch of things to worry about in front of us, so we can put some shots down range into the Yamato, maybe set a few fires, but we can still go bow into the Ibuki with the intention of actually focusing down on the Ibuki. For now, we're just concerned about getting a few shots down range into the Yamato, maybe setting fire to the player, doing some more damage while we deal with the Ibuki here. Because the Ibuki will be a huge threat. I mean, the Yamato, massive threat in itself, but we do have a bit of range on the player here, so we can make that work to our advantage. In the meantime, Pink did move into the cap as well and has started to cap it. Now, it's only Pink and his ally remaining, and the ally destroyer is on very, very little health. This player is actually hiding. It took me a while to find the player, but we do see the player over there, you know, staying at distance, most likely trying to stealth fire torpedoes if possible at all. We have taken some shots incoming here from the enemy Ibuki, but you can see we do have some armor piercing going down range. Shots go in, manage to get a nice citadel, do a bunch of damage, and we have more armor piercing shots going in down range. Pink is going to abandon the cap now, gets the kill on the Ibuki for the Kraken. Shots come in from the Ibuki and the Yamato and take Pink out. Oh. Tragic. 212,000 damage done, though. That is something to behold. Again, I think my highest is 203. Haven't been able to break that, but to see 212,000, I think Pink was saying that this is his highest game ever. What a game that was indeed. And we do get the victory because the clock has run out. Yes, we are ahead in points overall. Victory is ours. So we can see 522,000 credits earned, 212,000 damage dealt, Witherer, Confederate, Arsonist, Kraken, and a high caliber. Not too shabby at all. With the 5 kills, number of fires set, we are top of the team overall. Man, that looks a little crazy, doesn't it? Oh, it's because of all the mods, I see. Yes, I understand. But still, top of the team overall with well over 2,000 base experience. We can see how some of the damage has been spread out amongst the enemy team. A lot of damage being dealt there to the Yamato with just under 60,000. We do see the Tirpitz there at the beginning as well with about 46,000 damage dealt to that player. Well, when all is said and done, we do end up walking away with 236,000 credits, 6,100 experience, a bunch of commander experience, which is always great because we do note that Pink's commander is almost to the next level, which is always a great thing as well. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. I have been receiving a lot more replays in the last few days, so thank you, or last few weeks, I guess. So thank you guys very much for sending in those replays. Continue to do so. I will sift through them and get them up on the channel as best as I can. As always, you know, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.